Welcome to Mom Bods and Margaritas, where two childhood friends navigate the wild and crazy world of midlife.
That's right. We're diving into the ups and downs of relationships, motherhood, health, sports, and everything in between.
Join us as we share our personal stories, laugh through the challenges, and explore how to thrive in this transformative phase of life. Whether you're feeling lost, empowered, or somewhere in between, we're here to remind you you're not alone.
So grab a coffee or a margarita, settle in, and let's embark on this journey together. It's time to embrace the chaos and celebrate the beauty of midlife. Let's get started.
Well, hey, we're back.
Hello.
I know,
Season
right?
2 kickoff. Yeah.
We're doing a little,
Valentine's week.
we're doing it differently this time. We're trying it remotely. We're hoping, fingers
Yeah.
crossed, that we'll have better audio and video, and I won't drive myself insane trying to edit.
Yes. Yes, she's turned in her notice at least 3 times. I have rejected it and said, no, you're not quitting. So here
Yeah,
we
there you go.
are. So, since we're doing it remotely, we're in two different locations, so we can't toast our glasses or talk as much about our margarita drinks. But Lisa, I think you
Yes,
have
I do.
one.
I'm actually 1.5 down. Started early.
I just got off work, so I am 0 down. But I do have a cute little cup. This is probably tequila that will keep me company throughout
Yeah,
this.
we may
So
need it tonight. We're a little rusty.
we are, and it's been a few months. We've had a lot going on. So um, here we are, back for season 2. I'm
Yeah, we'll see
excited.
how well I can read too, because when I put my glasses on, you can see my ring light. So I'm going to try to deal with life without my glasses. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, I have on my Mrs. Roper
They look good.
glasses. Um, I'm now to the age which we've all talked about, and last season, I took them on and off, on and off. If I'm looking at something really close, I have to have the
Yeah,
glasses on, and I'm just embracing the Mrs. Roper. So I've got a couple of different colors, so you might see those pop up, but
I
it
think they
is what
look
it
good.
is,
I've got to go
you
to the
know.
eye doctor here soon, and I'm going to get new glasses. So I got to get a different
Yeah.
looking frame, and I don't like what I have. So
Well, my prescription ones are ugly and they're not really the right reader
hmm
combination for me. For some reason, they make me kind of nauseated. So when I was out of town for work, mine broke. And, I sling them in the backpack and I'm getting on and off the plane and in and out of rental cars. And so they broke,
yeah,
but they were cheap anyway. But I went in a random TJ Maxx or Burlington Coat Factory I think in South Carolina, and got these in a 3-pack for like $18. So much cheaper, and you don't care if you break them.
yeah. I never
So
have mine in the case. Jeffrey asked me the other day. It was either Jeffrey or Blake said, "Why don't you keep these if you have them?" The case is in my purse, and the glasses were in my purse, but
yeah,
they just weren't together.
yeah. Well, it's annoying because you have to 100 times a day. So
We're going to get into like nutrition and exercise and taking care of yourself, which we talked a little bit about that last season on a couple of different episodes. I think the women's health, and we had, I think, another one about taking care of yourself. I don't remember the name of it, but I do
yeah,
remember in one of those episodes, though, saying that I was going to make an effort to do better. So this is kind of like my way of updating anyone that cares if we haven't lost any of the 25 followers in the past 3 months. But I also get to
yeah,
kind of say out loud what I've done, and you know,
yeah.
you too.
Accountability.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So let me just dive in here, okay? When we ended last season, I believe it was the end of October. I gave myself a mentally, I don't even remember what I was doing physically, okay? But I got back on track that very first week in December. I started following a lady on Instagram several months ago. Her name is Jolie McLeod. I think that's how you pronounce her name. So I started following Jolie on Instagram, and she just turned 50 this month or this year, and she had gained weight because of her perimenopause. And there's a whole, if you go to her page, you start following her, she talks about going to the doctor, all the things that they were telling her, like what we've talked about before. She finally
Mm-hmm.
decided, I'm going to do something about it. Okay, now she did
Yeah.
like a panel test, like a hormone panel test. So she's doing
Yes.
the hormonal stuff too, which I'm not. But so I've seen her body transform over the past several months. It is night and day. And she wasn't particularly overweight, just a little pudgy like the rest of us. So she clearly knows what she's doing and she knows what she's talking about. So I did her program, started her program December the 1st. She's got like a 4-week dumbbell program. So you don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to have equipment and all that kind of stuff, just dumbbells. And it was like $50. Well, you have access to it. So you can keep doing that program over and over if you want to. So I did that in December.
Is is she the lady that lifts heavy? She says lift heavy and don't do a lot of cardio. Am I thinking
I
of the
don't
same
know
lady?
if that's who you're, I don't think that's the same lady. No, this lady does in her program do progressive overload. She doesn't particularly talk about the
Okay.
cardio. Now she will go on walks and that sort of thing. She's got long, kind of like blonde hair, strawberry blonde hair. She lives in South Carolina.
Okay.
But anyway, so I did her program, was eating better, tracking my calories, which I hate to do. It's such a nuisance and it's just tedious work to me, but I just made myself do it. So I did that on my
Yes.
fitness pal. Anyway, and then I started over in January and then did another program with a guy who has like an amazing app. You'd have to get on there. It's like top notch. His name's Don Saladino.
I think I've seen him. Does he do V Shred and all those
Probably,
different
I know he's
programs?
trained some celebrities, but I found out his name
Mm.
from Joanna Gaines. I don't know if you follow her on social media. She and Chip started his program. And so Joanna was like posting videos of herself doing like 50
Mm.
push-ups. So I was like, who is this lady? Like she weighs 100 pounds. You know, she's not ever been particularly strong like that. So anyway, I started his program and it's like $70, but it's like a 6-week thing. So basically you do everything at home. You don't have to join a gym. You do it on
Mm-hmm.
your own time. Um, and you have access to that program so you can keep doing it. Some people may say, well, I don't want to spend
Mm-hmm.
$70 or $60. Well, you're going to spend that after a couple of months in the gym anyway. So why not have
Oh
it?
yeah.
Um, but anyway, so between that and then tracking my food and my calories, you want to know how much weight I've lost? It must not be a lot because
How
when you saw me
much?
today, you weren't like, oh, you look like you've lost weight.
I can tell that you look more svelte. I would you weren't
Yeah.
overweight to begin with. If somebody's really overweight and then you see them and you're like, "Oh my God, you've lost so much weight," and they're like, "I've lost 50 pounds," you had like no weight to
Well,
lose.
I've lost
So,
0. So
well, your body shape has
well, that's,
changed.
I think I have finally maybe recognized that the past couple of weeks. Initially, I really couldn't tell anything, but in the past, my body is just slow to change anyway. I think because I'm
Mm-hmm.
just not super hardcore. I know I have to pace myself or I won't last. Um, so between
Mm-hmm.
doing that and then the gradual calorie deficit that I've tried to put myself in, I think it's just
Mm-hmm.
has taken a couple of months. And so I've recently just been able to tell maybe the past 2 weeks, and it's just a slight difference. I mean, I have a long way to go, but it's very slight.
Well, honestly, the slight difference when you start seeing it, other people have
Yeah.
already seen it. And for me, we've talked about this and we talked about it ad nauseum last season, but I can look at a piece of cake and
Yeah.
gain 5 pounds. And I'm not that much shorter than you. I mean, I am shorter than you by like 3 inches, but it's not like you're 6'1" and I'm
Mhm.
5 feet, right? And I just struggle. And so for the last few weeks, that's another story. But I haven't been to my normal gym. Like I go to my normal gym and do like a boot camp style. So it's really hit the high intensity for people who don't know what that is, high intensity interval training. And I really, really like it. But I can tell my body has changed some, and I will tend to get more muscular in my legs. But I was looking at myself the other day. I haven't been to the gym like in that way for like 2 weeks, and I already look flabby. And it's just a
Yeah.
constant struggle. And I see people putting in minimal effort, and I see them really changing and they look great and they're, oh, I'm wearing a bikini now. Well, it's just a constant struggle for me. So again, I'm up like 2 pounds right now, and you can see it all in my face. Like it's just a struggle. So I have joined a rec center locally because it's so incredibly cheap. They have a walking track inside, which
Yeah.
is nice. So if it's raining, like it's pouring rain
Mhm.
today, if I want to go take a walk, I can do that. They do have classes. So they have boot camp, they have bar, which I've never done, but I've heard it's incredible for you. I think they even have like a yoga and Pilates, which I've never done, Pilates. But I'm excited about it. Oh, yeah, I'll be dying because I'm as flexible as the number two pencil. It's just, I mean, they're going to have to call the ambulance. But they also have some equipment. And, I went in there the other night and just lifted a little bit, just did
Mhm.
arms, and I walked some on the track. But, it's just, we're at the age. Hormones play a big part. We've talked about that. But my diet is like good most of the time. And then when I go off the rails, I go off the
Do you
rails.
wear a Fitbit?
And I don't want to be restricted. No.
No.
I do have an Apple Watch.
But so it keeps up with your
So,
calories that you burn during the day? I don't have an Apple Watch, so I don't
yeah.
know.
And yeah, it does. I don't know how accurate it is, but it does keep up with it. But I just feel so much better when I do something consistently that's pretty
Yeah.
hard, pretty intense. Doesn't have to be all cardio, but I just feel like I sleep better, and I know I do.
Yeah, I mean, I for sure feel better, and I can tell that I'm getting stronger because I can go up a little bit more in my weights than when I did when I first started working out. I never am sleepy during the day. I would always feel like I needed to take a nap, especially on a day like today when it's gray, and I'm not like that
Mm-hmm.
anymore. I can make it through the day and feel perfectly fine. So I know that it's working, but I think, it starts inside before I can see anything outside, like my energy level, um, how strong I
For
get, that
sure.
sort of thing. But one thing that I heard recently, and it was just one of those light bulb moments that but when you hear it, you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. So we were talking about, or I heard someone talking about the calorie deficit, and it's another girl that I follow online. Now, I'll give you her name. It's Katie Neeson. I think it's Neeson.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she's like just a younger girl. She lives out in LA. Now she does have a mouth on her, so if you can't handle hearing certain words, like all throughout her 2-minute post, don't listen to her. But she's blunt and she's to the point, which is what I like. So I can get over the rest. But
Yeah.
anyway, she constantly talks about being in a calorie deficit and not shoving food in your mouth and expect to see results when you go to the gym and you work out for an hour, but yet you go home and pig out. Okay, that wasn't my issue. But what I did know was the amount of calories I burn in a day is so low because my metabolism is so slow now, according to my Fitbit, and I
Mm-hmm.
wear it every day. So whether it's inaccurate or not, it's going to be consistently inaccurate, even if
Consistent,
it's off
sure.
for 100 calories or 200. So if I do absolutely nothing all day long, no exercise, I'm just getting up to go fix something to eat or walk around the house and I'm just sitting all day watching TV, like, which is pretty much what I did today because I didn't have time to do anything else. Um, I'm not even at 1,400 calories and it's 6:30 at night. So from midnight to midnight, is when this is counting the calories. So for 18 hours, I have burned that many calories. And it's going to slow down as the night goes on because I'll lay down, I'll get in the bed. So I know what my max is probably going to be on a slow day. Now, when I work out and I walk on the treadmill or just do one or the other, then I'm getting close to 2,000 calories in a 24-hour period, which for me,
I'm
that's still
pretty
low.
sure that you're burning a whole lot more than me.
What does yours say? Do you ever look at it?
Either my either my metabolism is completely like dead, but I would have to like really look and go back through the
Mhm.
history. But I went to work today. Like I haven't
Yeah.
worked out today, but I walk around a little bit, but I still sit the majority of the day
Mhm.
at the computer. And either my Apple Watch is broken or I may be half dead because my amount of daily average calories is 218 is what it's showing right now. So I need to
Well,
get a Fitbit and either track it more accurately. Oh yeah, it says 218 is my daily average.
you're barely breathing. Yeah, something's up
Exactly.
with that.
So how, and you're like, oh, I haven't burned anything at all. I'm at
I
2000
think
today, or
I
I'm
think
at
if you're doing
1400.
nothing at all, your body's gonna at least burn like 50 calories just sleeping. 50 calories an hour.
Apparently not. So that explains why I can sniff a donut and gain
That's
5,000
hilarious.
pounds. So if this is accurate, then we have a problem. Houston, we
Well,
have a
I put my
problem.
phone on airplane mode when we started this, so it hasn't updated, but it's not going to change that much in 20 minutes. But I only had 3,000 steps. Okay. So, um, that's with me not doing much. So obviously I would have more than that. But my point to saying all of that is I somewhat know the calories I burn during the day. Therefore, if I want to be in a calorie deficit, I've got to eat less than that. So I've set on my Fitness Pal, I think that's the name of it, 1,500 calories as being my max,
Hmm.
which is hard to do, by the way, it for me.
Well, walk me through
Uh,
a normal day for those of us who obviously are eating like an
well,
elephant.
okay, but before I do that, so if I'm only burning, let's say on average of not doing any kind of activity, I'm lucky to get 1,800 in, by midnight. If I max out at 1,500, that's a 300 calorie deficit. Okay. Which is
Right.
okay. But you see what I'm saying? So little things throughout the day that you got to cut out on make a big difference. And so she kept just
Mm-hmm.
hammering, hammering, hammering calorie deficit, this Katie girl.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, this is why I have to track my food and I have to track everything like creamer, if I get a tablespoon of this or a
Mm-hmm.
tablespoon of that. So um, I don't know if you know, olive oil, which is supposed to be, good for you, I guess, and a healthy alternative. 1 teaspoon has 120 calories. Now, what do you think that I was frying my egg in every morning for breakfast? Olive oil.
Yeah. Teaspoon or tablespoon?
Let me look.
Teaspoon?
Hang
That
on,
is
let me look if
crazy.
I have it written down here. Teaspoon.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
120 calories. And I looked at the vegetable oil too, and it's the same. For a teaspoon, that is 120 calories. Now, when you're frying an egg in the skillet, you're going to use at least a teaspoon, probably.
Yeah.
120 calories right there. So I stopped doing that because I saw also on social media that if you're trying to fry an egg, if you were once the skillet's hot and it's starting to fry, if you'll pour water in there, you know how your skillet does when you pour water in it and it starts bubbling up and steaming and all that. That water gets up under that egg. You can just scoop it on out and flip it. You can put the lid on it if you want to kind of cook the top of it, but adding that water in there allows it to not stick to the skillet. So that's 120 calories right there that I'm cutting out of my diet. Okay? So if I keep doing things like that, that helps. But so usually for breakfast, I was having like an egg and like 2 pieces of turkey sausage, which I just started buying because I in the past was like, I'm not buying turkey sausage. Just I didn't want to weird anything
Yeah.
up, so to speak. Um,
Yeah. The butterball was amazing. I used to eat it all the time. The turkey
well, Jeffrey
sausage.
has bought it
So
before,
good.
and he's like, "You want some turkey sausage or turkey bacon?" I'm like, "No. If I'm going to eat bacon, I'm going to eat it the real thing." So the turkey sausage, you
Mm-hmm.
really can't tell. And I'm not a picky eater though, so I can eat something like that. I know some people just they can't deal with it,
Yeah.
but I'm not picky, so I'll eat it. Um, or like some oatmeal bake that I'll fix that I see somebody on social media I know lives a healthy lifestyle and it's just not a bunch of crap in there. I might have that with a piece of turkey sausage or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, but I'm usually getting 200 and something calories for breakfast. But my problem was,
Mm-hmm.
and this is another way I started counting my calories and cutting out was to make it easy on MyFitnessPal because I hate tracking anyway. I would do exactly what
Mm-hmm.
the bottle said or the tub said. So, like for cottage cheese, I think you have to have like a half a cup as a serving, which I like cottage cheese. Yogurt, three
Yeah.
fourths of a cup is one serving. Well, for me, that's a lot of yogurt because I don't like yogurt. Okay. Again, I will eat it,
Yeah.
but I just don't
Yeah.
like the taste of it. So I have to add fruit and granola into mine. So that's what I was doing. I was getting the three-fourths of a cup and putting everything else in it so I could just log it in like that. And I thought, why am I doing this? I don't like the taste of it. Add a dollop to whatever you're eating. So I'm adding a
Yeah. Don't
tablespoon
eat it.
versus three-fourths of a cup. Obviously, I'm not getting this enough protein by doing that, so I am cutting out on my protein, which is a whole nother story because I've been trying to up my
Yes.
protein too. But
Me too.
it
And
is
it's so
hard.
hard.
And that's the struggle when you're upping your protein, but you need low calories. So that's what I'm trying to
Yes.
figure out right now. But for now, I've got to be in a calorie deficit. And so those are ways that I'm doing it. With the cottage cheese, I'll have cottage cheese and fruit versus yogurt and fruit, and I'll do the same thing. I'll just put like a tablespoon or two versus a half a cup because it just doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
So, um, or buying the 2% or the low fat versus the full fat. I don't normally like to do that kind of stuff either, but I'm just trying to figure it out to be in a calorie deficit. So when you're cutting out 120 from oil and maybe 50 from portion control, with the yogurt or the cottage cheese, and you're doing that throughout the day, that could be a couple of hundred calories, which is a lot for me when I'm only some days getting up to 1,800 calories burned total, you know?
I'm so wrecked right now. Like, I can't even listen to this conversation for continuing to think about my Apple Watch saying I've burned 200 calories a
218.
day. And you're like, oh, I've only burned 1,800. I'm like, oh my God, no wonder. But it's not like I'm going ham. Like, let me tell you what I have for breakfast. I have egg whites with spinach. I have a half a cup of egg whites, with fresh spinach scrambled in a
Yeah.
pan. And then I have a piece and a half of Ezekiel toast. So, for those of you who don't know what Ezekiel toast is, it is all natural,
Yep.
like sprouted bread. It doesn't have preservatives, like you buy it in the freezer section. So, it's not like it's loaded with sugar, loaded with all this stuff. Now, I do have coffee in the morning,
Me too.
but I put half and half in it, which is much less. And then I will put a little splash, and I'm very careful with it, but I don't measure it. Sugar
Mhm.
free creamer, just to give it like a
Yeah.
little bit of flavor. And I make a whole cup, like a big cup, like 2 cups
Mhm.
total, 20 ounces of coffee. And I'll drink about half of the coffee, and then I save the other half, and I'll put a
Yeah.
protein shake in it. And that protein shake has really high protein, like 30
Yep.
grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. So, again, I'm not going out there. Now, did I eat pizza last night because I had people over at my house? Yes, I did. But what I'm getting at is I'm not going ham all day. Like, I'm not eating the Uncle
Yeah.
Herschel's breakfast at Cracker Barrel every morning and then following it up with a heart attack for lunch. Today I had 2 packets of tuna for
Yeah.
lunch. So that's what's frustrating is that I am good about 80 to 90% of the
Yeah.
time. And then why am I struggling? But I also want to correct myself right there. So I think for certain personalities, me included, there are times where you feel restricted and you're going to kind of rage
Mhm.
against the machine. Like you don't want to be told, like, you can't lick the knife, right? You can't have a cupcake. Like, that's no way to live. I mean, obviously, I want to be disciplined. I want to live longer, have good nutrition, good exercise, look good in my clothes, whatever. But what I'm getting at is, people don't want to hear you're being bad because you ate
Yeah.
a dessert. Like, let's have some
Right.
balance with our life. And some people struggle with that. Oh, I'm being bad. So then they say, well, forget it. I've already blown it for today. So I'm just off the wagon. Instead of saying, hey, I made a choice. I enjoyed a piece of birthday cake because it was my child's birthday. I'm getting back on the wagon, not just giving up because you made a bad choice or you didn't eat something
Well,
healthy.
and again, what I've been trying to remember is because I've got cake in there that I made this weekend. Obviously, you want to eat healthy, but if you're still in a calorie deficit and you eat that cake, guess what?
Yeah,
You're not going to gain the weight. Okay. So, again, that's
yeah,
why I have
yeah,
really been intentional about keeping up with my calories and what I burn because I've got to be in a calorie deficit. So, I've really honed into it the past week. Um, like logging in everything, even like because I wouldn't add the coffee with creamer because I was like, oh, that's 35 calories. Who cares? But
yeah, but it's
yeah,
35
so
calories.
I've had
Yeah,
to just be really almost like annoying about,
militant.
taking pictures and scanning barcodes and all that. But something else I recently heard too, which was a light bulb moment. And I haven't really gotten there yet for myself because I'm more of I need to do it daily, but they said to look at your calorie
Hmm.
deficit for the week. So, if you go
Right.
Monday through Sunday and you've burned, um, well, let's just say let's say I've had a great week and I've burned 2,000 a day. Okay. So that's 14,000 for the week, but I only ate 12,000. Well, I'm in a calorie deficit for the week by 2,000 calories. I'm getting excited. I can't even talk. That's a half a pound. You know? So, even
Yeah,
if you have a bad
yeah,
day, then, correct it the next day and still try to be in that calorie deficit for the week. Now, obviously, don't pig out for 3 days and then starve yourself for 4. Let's have some common sense, okay, about things and not do that. But
yeah.
It's just
Yep.
if you go over a couple of hundred calories for the day, then it's okay. Just kind of try to correct the next day or two.
Yeah. Get back on the wagon, but also, you see so much conflicting information. And that's one thing I struggle with is people that lift or and I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I don't mean like that. But when you lift weights and all that, you have to have some
Yeah.
carbs. You have to have some calories to give you the energy or your body thinks it's starving
Mhm. Mhm.
itself, right? And sometimes you can be in a calorie deficit for too long. But I know I've done it for too long. And then the first thing you put in your mouth, you gain the weight. But I think that's a good plan. I might start following her
Yeah.
too and do that. But I'm trying a new class tomorrow actually, so we'll see how that goes. But it's just a struggle at this age. And maybe I do need to go get a full panel done because obviously my um, thyroid moved to Tahiti and or came over to your house because you're burning like five
Well,
times what I'm burning.
women our age have to build muscle because we're losing muscle.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
the lifting weights, and again, when I say lifting weights, it's a dumbbell. It's not going in the gym and just,
Right.
trying to, pump hundreds of pounds or whatever. Um, it's just lifting weights to get your muscles stronger. So that's what these progressive overload workouts are for, is you're constantly using weights and you up your weight every week or every 2 weeks. So, and they've got it written
Mm-hmm.
out for you. You're just following along. And then I log my weights so I can
Mm-hmm.
see it every week. So some weeks you just maybe stay at the weight and you up the reps, or you up your weight and then they take you back down to like maybe your original 8 reps and then you go back up in reps the next week. There's different ways you can do it. And when I'm going up weights, I'm only going up like 2.5 pounds or 5 pounds, depending on what the
Mm-hmm.
exercise is. So, I can't just jump 10 or 20 pounds. That's not what this is about. So it's just a
No.
gradual, you know, progression that you have to do. But if you can do it when you couldn't do it before, it doesn't matter if it's just 2.5 pounds or not. Obviously, you're getting stronger because you can do it. So,
Yeah, 2.5 pounds is I would say average. I mean, and when I was going to the gym at first, I had
yeah, I
frozen
remember.
shoulder from menopause. Any of our listeners or subscribers that have ever dealt with that, it is
Hmm.
incredibly painful. It is awful. And I couldn't lift my arm shoulder
Yeah,
height. I couldn't even do it. I mean, without wincing and crying in pain. And so when I got to where I could even consistently do 8, 10, 12 pounds, something like that, up above my head and not crying in pain. I mean, to me, that's a victory. I don't have to lift 50 pounds. Like, again, I'm not trying to be Chuck Norris. I'm just trying to, ward off
yeah,
osteoporosis. It's really good for your bones. And it does help you lean out. And so I think as long as you're progressing a little bit and following a plan, then that's what's best.
yeah. And I don't remember which one of the influencers talked about it. It may have been Katie, but she was mentioning around your gut, your stomach area, where we all want the abs and the as she says, snatch waist. Now, I don't know if that's something I should be saying. I don't know what
Yeah,
it means, but she talks about that snatch waist. So if you
snatched.
want it, well, I didn't know if it was like some other kind of lingo or whatever, but anyway, um,
No, no.
if you're again, that's the fat over your muscle. So you can do all the workouts that you
Mm-hmm.
want. If you're not in a calorie deficit, the fat will stay there. So again, it's
Yeah.
about balancing and knowing what you're doing. If you can go in the gym and just pump and pump and pump away. But if you're not in a calorie deficit, you're still in a surplus. I mean, this is just basic math. And again, it was just one of those things where the light bulb came on in my head. Obviously, we all know this, but I just had to hear it again and really think about it. Um,
Yeah.
so it's just a struggle because they also want you to get like a minimum of 30 grams of protein per meal. So that's at least 90, which I
Yeah.
really think is like point 0.7 or point 0.8, per pound of what you weigh. So I really should be getting a little bit more than
Yeah.
that. But initially, I just said, I'm just going to stick to 90 a day, which is still hard to do. Now, tuna
Mm-hmm.
does help. And I just buy the little 5-ounce cans. So that's like the smallest can you can buy. And it's only 100 calories and it's got 23 grams of protein. So put two of those
Yeah.
together, which you could easily eat. That's 46 grams of protein. And I don't put mayonnaise in it. I fix it like I used to. But instead of mayonnaise, I put a dollop of cottage cheese in there.
You can
You
put
can do
Greek
that.
yogurt too. The no vanilla, just the
You can.
Fage or
I
whatever.
can
That's
still
just
That's
the
just my
yeah.
problem with yogurt. It tastes a little tangy or something to me. The cottage cheese is just bland and the texture doesn't bother me, which is why I use it for most everything. But you're putting cottage cheese in there, which is still a little bit of protein. If you put an egg in there like you normally do, that's another 6 grams. And I still put my relish in there. So if you had 2 cans of that,
Mm-hmm.
um, obviously that'd be a lot of tuna fish for sandwiches, but I usually just eat it, by itself with maybe fruit or something. That's about 50 grams right there of just protein. So that's an easy meal for me.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get in.
And I put just a little bit of that
Yeah.
yogurt instead of the mayonnaise, but I use mustard. I mean, it gives it, some people
Yeah.
don't like that, and I get that, but it gives it a little bit of flavor and a little bit of moisture where it's
Mhm.
binding it together, but you don't have all the calories because it's not
Have
loaded
you
with fat.
ever seen the inside of a pomegranate? Like, have you ever bought a pomegranate and cut it open
Yeah.
yourself and looked in
Mm-hmm.
it? Okay. Have
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
ever drank the juice out of it? Like the arrows that's in there?
No.
I recently did that because I love to buy the pomegranate seeds at the grocery store and just eat them, or I'll put that on my yogurt.
Yeah.
Well, I came across a video where they cut open the pomegranate and they showed you how to extract those arils and take the juice and drink it. I did that about a week ago. I am obsessed. It is so good. You
Oh.
just cut open. Well, what you actually do is if you just like kind of cut off the end of it to where the top.
Mm-hmm. And squeeze it like
Well,
a
I don't
lemon.
squeeze it. If you cut that top part off and then you kind of go around it and you kind of etch into it like you're making wedges and you can pull it open like
Mm-hmm.
that. I'm telling you, when you do, there's hundreds of those arrows in there. And and the inside is almost like styrofoamy to me. So you could go in there
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of do that and just kind of tap and scrape, and those things just fall off. And if you've got like a bowl of water, all of that will, and they don't burst. I mean, if you squeeze them, obviously the juice is going to come out, but they're pretty sturdy. So if you just take those out and any of that flesh when it falls in the water, it will float and the seeds go to the bottom. So you just, take all that off the top. Anyway, you
Yeah.
get hundreds of those. I got like a half a cup every time I've bought a pomegranate. And you put that in the blender with maybe like a tablespoon of water just to kind of help it mix up. Um, well, I take that back. After all the seeds and I blended it in a blender and I poured it in my cup, I've gotten anywhere from a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of pure pomegranate juice. You don't put anything in it. You just drink it as is.
Mm-hmm.
Mandy, it is the best tasting juice I've ever had. I'm obsessed. I am
Wow.
so obsessed with it.
We need to make that.
And it's so good for you. Like it's got, I think, vitamin C, vitamin K, iron. I think it's an antioxidant. It's just like I'm obsessed with pomegranates right now. So I can't wait for them to come back in season. I went to Publix earlier and they didn't have any. So I guess I could buy the pom poms
Oh.
and just put those in the blender. rather than cleaning out the
Yep.
pomegranate myself, but you should try it. It's so good. But, I thought I wrote down yeah, so, the for the pomegranate juice, now I didn't look at the sugar content, but it's like 72 calories for a half a cup. So, I mean, you're gonna get more than that if you drink milk or something like that, which, by the way, is another thing I started doing, with almond milk. I buy the unsweetened almond milk, and a cup of it is only 30 calories. So, I'll put that in my cereal or, just drink it plain if I feel like I need some milk or something like that.
This is crazy. Anyway, so maybe this is a good segue into my dating life, which is non-existent. I just want all of my two fans out there, one of them being Lisa and her sister Patty, to know that I got off of Bumble in November. I know right after we finished recording, I was like, bump this, I'm
Right.
done. And I got off of Bumble and I have not been back on because it's ridiculous. I forgot to tell you this. I did when I was going in back in the app to like find a way to try to find a way to cancel the subscription because it was still charging me even though I wasn't using it. I did find a setting. Of course it's more money, but it will let you weed out certain people. Like you can, I was complaining that it was showing me everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I can narrow it down to like people that are looking to get married or people that are whatever, not just these freaks
Mhm.
that are trying to like me. I can also um, filter it down to like just Christians if I want to do that. So, I was complaining about the number of people that it was showing me that had absolutely nothing in
Yeah.
common with me. So at least now, when I finally decide I'm going to get back on there and pay more money,
Mhm.
um, because now I'm inspired because you told me a couple of your friends have met somebody now. And so, you know, I haven't done anything in like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think, I'm assuming, once Christmas hit, it's just been hard to get back on track with my friends. We,
yeah,
and the same with you. We didn't really see each other anyway, but everyone's so busy during the holidays and there's so much going on.
yeah,
So I really haven't talked to them much either, but, um, I'm assuming that one of my friends, the guy that she's talking to, is from Bumble. Let me say that again. Did you say Bumble earlier?
I think so.
Okay, but the
Mm-hmm.
other friend did tell me she was on Facebook dating. I think I
Mm.
had told you about that earlier today. I had no idea there was a Facebook dating. I don't know what
Yeah,
the pool is of people that's on there or how you filter it out or anything like that.
I'm pretty sure it's cesspool.
Cesspool. I'm sure you're
but
right.
but another two of my friends are now married from the dating site that I was on. So who knows? I
Yeah.
think it's really a numbers game. We've talked about this too. I think you know there's people with bad intentions, whether you meet them in the wild, you meet them at the grocery store,
Yeah.
you meet them at a bar, which that's not, I wouldn't recommend, but there's bad people everywhere. And so there's a mixture of bad people on dating websites too. But, a lot of people are out looking for companionship, and there's some good people out there. I just have to find one. But,
Yeah.
I'm busy and I have a lot going on and I travel for work. And so I don't have a ton of time to dedicate to someone. I mean, I'm trying to burn my 218 calories over here. So
You're one breath per
I'm
minute.
so mad. I am so mad about this. I'm going to have to go buy a Fitbit tomorrow and test the theory, like one on each arm, because I I should be burning 218 calories getting out of bed in the morning. And if that is legit all I'm burning, there is no wonder that
Yeah.
eat one almond like over and
No,
above.
that's the truth. Like, you've got to find out how many calories you're burning in a day.
Yeah.
And I think initially you'll have to wear it for like 7 days straight and not take it off because it also has to calibrate throughout the night when you're sleeping and stuff. Because now I don't wear it when I sleep. I don't like to wear it 24/7. I really
Yeah.
don't like wearing it during the day all the time because sometimes I feel like my arm's starting to hurt, like I'm getting some kind of, radiation in my wrist um so yeah, I mean, I'm only burning according to this and how it calibrated that first week, like 50 calories an hour, which I guess that's fine when you're sleeping, but it just doesn't seem to go much higher than that during the day unless I'm active and doing something. And
Yeah.
some days
Now I
I
do
am.
charge mine at night.
Yeah.
So I don't sleep in it because I'm not going to be able to charge it always during the day. Like I'm not going to carry a watch charger to work and have one in my purse and
Yeah.
so but still, I mean,
Well,
I've had it on since I got up this morning. That's the first thing I do is put my watch on.
mine will last a couple of days. And I usually will just charge it, like if I'm in the shower or something like that where I can't wear it, I'm charging it every few minutes, doing that. So it pretty much stays charged. But you'll have to definitely do it that first week when you go to bed. But I think you'd be surprised to see what you're burning on a day where you do nothing versus a day that you walk or exercise or do something like that. So, and
Yeah.
it'll really help you with your calories too.
Well, and tomorrow afternoon, I'm volunteering at the community food bank. So I'm going to be in their warehouse lifting boxes and moving stuff. So if I come home and then go to that exercise class and I have burned like 400 calories, I'm going to burn my house down. It's going to be bad. So
Well,
I
I wish
knew,
I could burn 400 calories just doing a workout,
well,
but
I
I
mean,
can't.
I'm talking about 400 all day because, like I
Well,
said,
that's clearly wrong.
it's got to be. I hope so, or
That's
I need
not,
to go to the doctor.
yeah, I mean, you're barely living if you're only burning 200 calories a day. That doesn't make
Well,
sense.
there are questions some days. I'm
Especially when
barely
your
making it.
sitting heart rate is supposed to be like 50 calories burned per hour.
Yeah, and
So,
I'm pretty high energy.
yeah.
I mean, even when I'm sitting still, I'm not sitting still. My leg is shaking or I'm doing something. So
I
that's
did
crazy.
find this interesting when we went to my friend's house for Christmas. It was a bunch of girls that I work with. I did notice that while I was there, and listen, we weren't doing anything. We were just standing around talking or sitting around talking or just doing whatever. It wasn't like high activity night. We were just getting together for Christmas. And I've noticed on a couple of occasions when I'm out with my friends like that, I burn more calories,
Hmm.
and it's not something that I ever thought about. So I don't know if it's just because I'm talking and I'm socializing and maybe I'm getting up to, walk here or there throughout the house or just standing, but whatever it is, it's got my heart rate up enough to where I'm burning more calories. So
Laughing.
I noticed that, but isn't that cool that, like, you're burning more calories just by interacting with others and hanging out and having a good time and laughing, and of course all of that takes energy. Anything your body does, it has to burn calories for. But I always tended to think it's just if I'm working out, or it's just if I'm cutting the
Hmm.
grass or something intense, not laughing so much to where you're out of breath or you're just talking nonstop to where your body's just burning more calories because you're excited, or having a good time. It was just really interesting that I noticed that happened on several of occasions.
Well, laughing, I should honestly,
Same,
I should be super skinny.
same. So, but anyway, so I did want to share that because it has been a good thing. It's been a learning curve for me, and it's taken a lot of discipline, which I don't have. I've never really considered myself to be a disciplined person. So, just having to make myself work out every day. Do I want to work out every day? Obviously, I don't. I'd rather be doing something else, but I'm not particularly dreading it either because I feel better.
Yeah.
My body feels better, but just having to track my food, log my food in, be aware of what I'm consuming and understanding the simplicity of knowing what being in a calorie deficit means. Just all of that um, has been interesting for me because it's just not something I've ever had to do or had to
Yeah.
worry about. And now I have to worry about it and I have to build muscle. Cardio is not enough for women our age.
No,
We
it's
have
not.
to have muscle. So I can't just, I mean, I can walk on the treadmill if I want and I'll lose some weight, obviously, doing it, but I'm not gaining any muscle by doing that. And
Yeah.
we also know that having more muscle burns more calories. So,
Yeah. Well, and I consider myself to be very disciplined. I'm a disciplined person in a lot of areas, but we can always be better. But I was going to close this out with a list. Um, Hopefully, my setup here won't mess up. But just some benefits, which I think we all know, but it really is a good reminder of why we need to exercise. And I always tell my kids, please do it now. Don't
yeah.
wait. I know they're not women, but don't wait till you're 50 and then try to do it. But increased energy, weight control, we've talked about that a lot. Better sleep, strengthens bones, it improves your mood, decreases stress. It's good for hypertension, better endurance. It's even a deterrent for breast cancer, fights depression, cardiovascular fitness, improves your memory, improved immunity, um, reduces the risk of chronic disease, better skin, boost happiness, brain boost. I mean, it just goes on and on. Um, and so I think we can all, if we use that time as a, or use our life, I guess, as time to live a healthy lifestyle, then we're going to
Yeah.
be healthier, longer, stronger. You know, nobody wants to be 50 years old and have a myriad of health problems just that could have been avoided. There are genetic things, obviously, but anything that we can do to stave off disease and live a healthier lifestyle is better.
Yeah, and not have to get on a lot of medications. And I'm not going to get
Yeah.
into this episode because it will definitely be one coming up. But I did want to say that I stopped taking my statins about
Yeah.
2 weeks ago for my cholesterol.
Good for you.
Listen, not only have I been getting the brain fog that they talk about, which obviously I've been getting that the past few years, and I'm sure a lot of it's menopause, but it just felt
Sure.
different this time. And I noticed that my joints were starting to ache. Like in the mornings when I would wake up, my elbows would be killing me or
Mm-hmm.
just different parts of my body. So I called the doctor and said, I want to come off of this. Is it okay? Do I need to come in and let's just look at my cholesterol? So I've got to get one of those calcium scores. But
Mm-hmm.
the doctor said, just keep taking the statins until we get your test done and the results. The nurse left me that message. Um, so I haven't bothered telling them that I still decided to come off of it. I'm not going to keep taking it for the next couple of weeks. That was a
Yeah.
week ago, and I've still
Yeah.
not heard from anybody about setting up my test. So
Uh, yeah.
that that's going to be coming up in another episode here soon.
Yeah.
We're going to get
Yeah.
back on women's health and talk about that. So I'll have to give you an update on that.
Oh, yeah. Because that's extremely irritating. You know how I feel about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So. Well,
Well,
it's
all
been a great
right.
discussion. I've missed it. I'm happy we're back.
Me too.
Hopefully, we're going to have a little bit better quality for you guys as far as sound and audio, even though we've had some slight hiccups tonight. And, um, you know,
Yeah, depending
well,
on how this gets edited, I don't know if you listeners will even know that we've had some hiccups, but we know it. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that this is salvageable and we can and that this will work because it is
Yeah.
raining outside. So I don't know if the weather has played a part in that, but still, we'll see how it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
All
All right.
right.
Well, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.